Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Liam the Prove It Guy, author of Limitation Is A Mirage. In this podcast, I will be sharing with you actionable tips, routines and insights that I have gathered over 20 years of extensive study with masters, experts and world-class performers. My hope with this podcast is to save you time, money and frustration, helping you fast-track your way to mastery. Hey guys, welcome to episode 371 of the Limitation Is A Mirage podcast. Today I want to talk to you about some of the experiences I have with other coaches. So something that I think it must just come from my martial arts, again, is something I really hold on to is respect. So I like people to be congruent in what they say and how they live. And I used to have a pet peeve with coaches that I would meet that would be very unhealthy or that would just be full of shit. You would see them online talking about how they're super motivated and they're super positive, and then you'd meet them off stage or in the green room or you just have a call with them and they would be nothing like who they claimed to be whenever they were on stage. And I remember going and doing a talk. I was asked to do a talk about 4 years ago or something around there. It was down south. I think it was around Clare or somewhere. I just remember it was about a 4-hour drive to get there, but I was really excited to go and talk because it was different practitioners, kinesiologists, hypnotherapists, Reiki masters, all these people that were designed to help people improve their life, to be more positive and just to live a better life. So I thought this was going to be an easy talk. I went down there, I got on the stage. When I say stage, it was just a room. I was at the front of the room. They told me there would be a stage, so again, there wasn't a stage. But part of my talk is I talk about how you're going to come up against random things that will either knock you down or you can just forget about it and move forward. So I didn't really care that there was no stage. I've been in worse positions than that. Actually, having an open space was quite good. But I did my whole talk. I talked about they asked me to come down and talk about running a business as a coach. So how to improve your sales, how to make your environment better, and how to take yourself out of just loving what you do and it not being a business and loving what you do and it being a business. So getting results for your clients, all that sort of stuff. So I did my talk. I'm quite motivated. At the end of my talks, people always come up and ask me questions. A lot of the time it's around things that I did. Like they might ask me why I let that guy kick me in the bag or why I let that other guy hit me with a sledgehammer. When I say other guy, it's normally Sean doing all of it. So why did I let these things happen and what was the point and did it really hurt? So I asked the room, I open it up to the floor. I say, is there any questions? Anybody want to know anything or anyone want me to go any deeper into any part of what I talked about? And the guy raises his hand and I say, yep, go on ahead. And his question was, how much of that was bullshit? And I was like, excuse me, can you repeat your question? He goes, no, seriously, like how much of it was bullshit? You're up there saying like, you try to be motivated all the time and you're a positive person and you meditate every day and you go to the gym and you eat healthily. Like, how much of it's actually bullshit? Like, you don't do that. And I was like, no, I do. I meditate every day. I go to the gym as often as I can. I eat healthy every day. These things are just basic. It's not even like, he wasn't even talking about how much work I put in to get better at what I'm doing. He just wanted to know how much of it was, like, how much of this, like, positive thinking was actually bullshit. So I asked him, what is it that he does? And he told me that he was some sort of coach and that he tells people he's positive all the time, but he doesn't really believe in it. And I was like, well, I asked the whole room, how many people claim things that they don't actually believe about themselves? And most of the room shyly raised their hand. And I was like, well, that's why you're not working. That's why your business is shit, because you don't actually believe in yourself or what you're selling. So if you don't believe in it, you're not going to achieve anything with it. You're just going to come off the stage or work with a client and think to yourself, fuck, I actually got away with that this time. And that's no way to sell yourself. If I want to, I will not. That's why I went with the Prove It Guy. I won't teach you anything that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. And I won't tell you to do anything or challenge you in a way that I wouldn't challenge myself. So the fact that this room was just people that were full of shit and knew they were full of shit and looking for like the magic pillar, the secret way of getting through it, none of them were going to get anywhere. And I kept track for about a month after, and like like I called in the room, none of them did get anywhere. They never really achieved anything. They had a few followers and their businesses all either failed or just stayed very low key. And this has been something I've talked about for a long time. Like, I remember putting a post up and saying on my post, this must have been about 8 years ago, I put a post up and I said, one of the things that makes me different from all the coaches that I meet is that I practice what I preach. I tell you that you should go and try things, you should challenge yourself, you should get rid of your fears and anxieties and just move on with your life and do stuff. And then I go out and do it. I sailed a boat that I talked about in a different podcast. I did 1,000 push-ups in a day just as a challenge for myself. I've tried to overcome anything that holds me back, to face it and move forward with it. And I had about 8 coaches contact me, tell me that I should take that post down, and that it wasn't right to be challenging other practitioners or other coaches. And personally, I wasn't. I was just telling people what I think. And I still believe it now. Like, there's a lot of coaches out there that practice what they preach, but there's a lot of coaches, again, that are just completely full of shit. And now when I meet them, I don't even waste my time speaking to them. I try to surround myself with people that are looking to improve themselves and the people around them. So I have no time for bullshit. And I remember even getting a phone call. Like, one of the coaches rang me and told me to take the post down because they felt that it was a personal attack on them. They felt that I had zeroed in on them, and my post spoke directly to them. And I was saying, look, I didn't aim this post at anyone, but if you think it's directly aimed at you, then it probably is. You probably are living the lie that I claim I'm not living. So I'm saying that I am a positive person because I do positive things. I'm saying that I work hard, that I study hard, because that's what I do. Like, this week alone, I've spent hours, and it's only Tuesday evening. I've spent hours with different mentors and just watching other people that I really like to try to improve what I do so I can deliver better content for people. I can deliver better messages. But when I work with my clients, I can actually help them achieve whatever it is they come to me to achieve. So if you are listening to this and you think that you're not fully congruent with the message that you are putting out on social media, or the message you would like to put out, or you don't feel like you're really living up to your potential, then start to make changes. Look at the way you live your life and start to do something about that, because there's nothing more shit than knowing you can be better but not actually doing anything about it. And that's why, again, I've went from being a personal trainer, being a martial arts instructor, to being a business coach, to being a coach for PTs, to helping people achieve their dreams, because I'm constantly progressing, constantly working. Even whenever I started magic, like the first magic trick I ever seen was Steve Shackleton, the guy I lived with. He put a coin inside a can of Coke, and I'd never seen magic. I'd seen it on TV, but I'd never seen it in real life. And my mind was just blown, and I pestered him for weeks, every day, like, show me a trick, how do you do that, teach me something, every single day. And eventually, like he said it himself, he said, look, people normally give up, but you're so persistent, I'm going to teach you something. And he taught me how to run one card off the deck at a time. So you had to go through the whole deck. And again, he thought I would give up doing that, but I was just so persistent. I wanted to learn. I'm very focused whenever I want to be. So I did that for about 3 weeks before he started actually teaching me. And then from that, I just hunted out masters and people at the top of the field so that I could learn and improve and become the entertainer that I was to the performer that I am. And like, it takes me back just what I was saying earlier about the fact that I went to go on stage and there was no stage, and that doesn't throw me, because whenever I performed as a magician, I was baptized in fire. Like, I used to go to nightclubs. I remember doing a nightclub and doing a poker routine because the guy said he was into poker, and his mate was just across the table, not really paying attention, but watching a wee bit. And whenever the routine ended and the guy had the best poker hand he could ever have, the poker hand that he wanted, and that I didn't know he wanted either. So there was so many wee elements that all just came together at the end. And he was so taken aback by it that he just looked really confused. And in that moment, his mate thought that I was threatening him or being aggressive or something. So he like lunged over the table. The table was far too big. He was never going to reach me. But he lunged over the table to get at me, and then his mate caught him, and there was a wee bit of a scuffle between them. And then he became my best friend once we explained what was going on, and I did a wee magic trick for him. So I've been in situations where I'm performing and just complete madness is going on, and then I'm going back to performing. I remember doing a wedding one time, and I walk into the room, and they told me they'd set up a stage, and I asked the manager of the room, like, had he ever stood on that stage and looked into the audience? The audience were on tables all spread around the place, and there was a massive pillar in the middle of the room, but that was kind of where he had set the stage up. So I was supposed to perform basically to a massive pillar. So I had to change my whole routine to make sure that I could work around that. So whenever I say that I'm congruent in what I do and that I focus on improving all the time, I actually do it. So if anyone ever takes offense to me saying that I feel I'm doing more than most coaches, then you're probably a coach that doesn't actually put the work in, that doesn't try to improve yourself. That, like, if it's in any way affecting you, it's what I'm saying, it's your fault that it's affecting you. So I would be questioning that. So all the coaches that came to me and complained that I was directing an attack at them or making them look bad, like, my response was, well, if it makes you look bad, then you probably are doing what I'm saying. And if you want to look better, then stop doing that. So my goal is always with myself first is to improve what I'm doing, improve who I am, so that I can deliver that everywhere else. Even with these podcasts, whenever I started, I'm talking to my phone on a wee tiny mic, and I didn't know how to edit and everything. I didn't do video because it was just too much effort, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I went and studied and learned and found out how to do all this so I can tie it all together. So I know that this is kind of a bit more niche for, you might think it is a bit niche for coaches, that I'm sort of getting at being a coach and actually working to be the best coach you can be. But if you take it as a client, as someone looking for a coach, no matter what it is, so if you were looking for, like whenever I just did massage, I started with Reiki first, then I worked up on that to become a Reiki master, then I learned Swedish massage, and then I wanted to get better, so I did kinesiology, and then I started to study with a guy on Chinese medicine to swap tricks and techniques, and I started to do that with anyone that I'd meet, NLP, EFT, everything I could. I would try to learn as much as I could from that. So even if you're looking for a masseuse, look for someone that's always studying. If you're looking for a PT or a coach, look for one that's always studying, always trying to progress. Even if they're doing old school stuff, like my training at the minute with Mark is very old school orientated, but the science behind it is still fresh. So there's people always doing research on it, and the science still backs it up. So if the science ever didn't back it up, or if it wasn't backed by people's experience and understanding, then I would shift it and change what I was doing, like I did when I first started with Mark, like it's roughly 3 years ago now, or less. I can't actually remember. Lockdown has thrown my time frame completely off. Whenever we started, I hated doing weights. I hated going in and counting reps. I just liked I loved when Muhammad Ali said that he only starts counting when it's sore. So I just thought, that's brilliant. I don't have to count or pay attention to anything. I can just go and hammer away, and then, like, once I'm sore, I'm done, and that's it. I don't need to worry about, like, I'll do like 10 more when my abs hurt, or 10 more when my legs hurt, or whatever. Whereas this way, it's more structured, and the structure has helped me achieve more of what I wanted to achieve than doing it the way I was doing it had done. So whenever you're looking for a mentor, whenever you're looking for a coach, look towards people that are always trying to be better. Like, even today alone, I was on a call with Neill for about 4 hours. I watched a Bo Easton live talk. He's one of my favorite speakers, so I watched him just because I want to improve the way I speak. So, like he said it, there's no finish line. I'm never looking to cross the line and be like, yes, I'm there, I've done it, I just don't have to study anymore. I always want to push higher and further, so just to see where I can get. So when I'm on stage, I want to have better stagecraft, better vocals. I want to get my message across and my story across much better. Like even this part of my story where the gist of this podcast is I am more congruent with what I talk about and what I say, because I have a better understanding of how to deliver the message. Whereas in the past, I would have just ranted about different areas of my life, left, right, forward, up, down, and I wouldn't really have been able to bring it all together. But because I have a better understanding, I can keep everything much more on track. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. The fact that I just find it funny that people can get insulted by something that you say, even though it's their way of looking at it. And normally it's coming from within, not from what I'm actually saying to them. And also, if you're looking for a coach or a mentor, just look for someone that's always trying to improve. And if you have a coach or mentor and you don't think that they're improving, or you've caught up with them, start to look to someone who's higher than them. So every time I trained in different disciplines and I got to the point where that person couldn't teach me anymore, I had no shame in moving to the next one. I thanked them for everything I learned and then move forward to get more learnings and just to try to better myself. You should be willing to make changes, make sacrifices if you want to be anything more than average. So I want to be a hero. I want to just be I want to be a superhero. So I'm going to need to keep studying and keep driving and keep finding other people that have like led the path before me and done it before me, and just follow them and learn from them. So thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing day, whatever you get up to, and I will speak to you on the next podcast.